Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of Bits of Design. This is going to be a new series on my channel where I cover some of the techniques that I've used to work in some of my own games, and to hopefully give you some insight into some of your own individual pursuits. So this episode will be focused on balancing heroes, so let's get started. Alright, so I've loaded up the spreadsheet for Fighters Frenzy 2, and I understand this can look a little bit overwhelming with all of the different numbers and charts, so let's break this down. First off, I've split the heroes into two categories, melee and ranged. And below that, I've listed some of their basic stats, so we can show their health, their speed, and their attack damage ranges. Specifically for ranged heroes, we have their projectile speeds inside of the little brackets. Next, we have their ability ratings. So every hero will have one passive, two tactical abilities, and an ultimate. The numbers that we have here are derived from our ability rating chart. This is the core of our hero balancing system because it gives like a quantification of the strength of an ability. So on the left side here, we have all of the different things that we can put into an ability. So an ability may stun, it can knock back, all of them have a cooldown. And on the top here, we have the different types of abilities because different abilities are balanced differently. Obviously, a passive and an ultimate are going to be treated differently. So a good way to visualize this is, let's say, for tactical abilities, we will give them a box of size 10. All of the things that we want our ability to do should be a combination of these numbers and should be under the number 10 that we assigned. If it's under 10, then it's balanced. If it's over 10, we've given this ability too many things and it'll be overpowered. Now that you understand how the system works, let's get into how we can use this to actually balance our heroes and read the chart properly. Okay, let's take another look at the roster. Given all of our abilities, we can now have an overall rating of the hero. All of our heroes right now seem to fall within a range of 19 to 25, and I've organized them into a tier list. Blue signifying the upper tier, green the mid, and yellow the lower. Now these are all relative terms, because overall our variance is pretty good. This is a good sign of a balanced roster. If you have numbers that fall within a decent range of one another, then that's a good sign. On an individual basis though, let's go more in depth into just how satisfied we can be with our hero balance. So Grayson has a good rating. He's in the mid tier, and that's good. However, a hero is worth more than just their ability set. We have important factors such as how much HP do they have, how fast are they, can they trade evenly with attacks. In Grayson's case, he has a very balanced set of abilities. 6, 6, 9, that's a good variance, very even. He has a very high HP pool, but is also relatively slow. We're making trade-offs here that overall give him a good rating. Let's take a look at Iron Fiend. Supposedly he's in the upper tier. He has a decent amount of HP, but is the slowest hero on the roster. His abilities are also very scattered. He's got a very uneven variance, or very high variance in his abilities. Another way to look at how our heroes are balanced are, do they fit the role that they're meant to? What I mean by that is, for example, Luxar is meant to be a very slow hero. If you get too close, he has a lot of disables, and we can see that this is reflected in his ability ratings. He has very highly related abilities because he's got a lot of stuns, he's got a lot of disables, a lot of ways to defend himself. So on the ability side, he has a high rating, but on the hero stat side, he's slow and has a mid-range HP pool. This is a good sign for him. But if we look at some of our lower rated champions, Alta is meant to fill the role of being a harassing hero. So she's meant to be a caster, has a lot of spammable spells, and is very fast. So while she has a low rating in her abilities, we have to keep in mind that she's very quick and has healing mechanics. So while she's in the lower tier, we can still consider her fairly balanced. Now enough of that. Overall, a good way to assess your balance is to take this beyond the page. All of these stats are all on paper. Theory crafting and setting up spreadsheets is all well and good, but the most important part, and I cannot stress this anymore, the most important part of hero balancing is iteration. What I mean by that is, you should constantly play testing your heroes, constantly be tuning the numbers. The best way to understand how balanced your heroes are is by playing them constantly. Put heroes up against different matchups. Put range versus range, slow versus fast, caster versus melee hero. Different combinations, mix up everything that you possibly could, because ultimately, you're not going to get this perfect on your first try. These heroes have all gone through multiple tunings, multiple iterations in the past, and they certainly will continue to do so in the future. This is not the final draft whatsoever. The most important part is to constantly be changing, constantly be updating. You'll never reach perfection, but you'll always be getting better. I hope this is a really good learning experience for you, and I hope that you take this advice and put it to good use. If you'd like to see more, I'd love to hear from you guys, and that's all. So I'll just go ahead and let it fade to black.